Sara shivered, pulling her coat tighter. It was a cold October night and the wind howled like a banshee. She struggled with the heavy door, finally pushing her way into the apartment building. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of dust and something else. Something unsettling. Her apartment was on the 13th floor. Of course. The elevator creaked its way up, the dim light flickering ominously. When the doors finally groaned open, Sara was met with an unsettling silence. The hallway was dark, only a single flickering bulb at the far end illuminating the peeling wallpaper. The key felt cold and heavy in her hand as she unlocked the door to apartment 1303. Stepping inside, she flipped the light switch, but nothing happened. "Great," she muttered, fumbling for her phone's flashlight. A wave of cold air washed over her, sending a shiver down her spine. It was colder inside the apartment than it was outside. Sara scanned the room with her flashlight beam. Shadows danced in the darkness, making the bare apartment seem even larger and emptier. She took a deep breath, trying to ignore the prickling sensation on the back of her neck. "It's just an old apartment," she whispered to herself. "Nothing to be scared of." But deep down, a seed of unease had already been planted. The next day, Sara was determined to make the apartment feel like home. She unpacked boxes, hung curtains, and even put a colorful throw rug on the living room floor. But no matter what she did, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind through the old window panes sent shivers down her spine. She tried to distract herself by watching TV, but even that proved unsettling. The old television set she'd found in the apartment flickered constantly, and the static was punctuated by strange whispers. At first, she thought it was just interference, but the whispers seemed to grow louder, clearer. They sounded like voices, murmuring just beyond the range of understanding. One evening, as she sat down with a bowl of popcorn, the whispers intensified. The TV screen went blank, except for a single flickering image, a woman's face, contorted in fear. Sara gasped, dropping her popcorn as a wave of icy cold swept through the room. The image vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only the static and the whispers, now more insistent, more menacing. Sara tried to convince herself it was just a hallucination, a trick of the flickering light and her own overactive imagination. But deep down, she knew better. Something wasn't right in this apartment. Something dark and unsettling was lurking just beyond the edges of her perception. Later that night, unable to shake the feeling of dread that had settled over her, Sara decided to try to get some sleep. She crawled into bed, pulling the covers up to her chin, but sleep wouldn't come. The whispers seemed to follow her, weaving themselves into her thoughts, filling her with a creeping terror. Then, she noticed it. On the wall above her bed, scrawled in what looked like dust on the peeling paint, was a message. "Don't trust them," it read, the letters shaky and uneven as if written by a trembling hand. Sara's breath caught in her throat. She sat up, heart pounding, and switched on the bedside lamp. The message remained, clear as day. Don't trust them. Who were they, and what were they warning her about? Fear, cold and sharp, gripped her. She scrambled out of bed, backing away from the wall as if the message itself were a living thing. The whispers seemed to grow louder, swirling around her, taunting her. She was trapped in this apartment, this nightmare with no way out. The next morning, Sara woke with a start, the disturbing message still fresh in her mind. Had it been a dream? A figment of her fear-filled imagination? She checked the wall, but the message was gone. Only a faint smudge of dust remained, a silent testament to the terror of the night before. She decided to get some fresh air, escape the confines of the apartment for a while. As she stepped outside, her phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number flashed on the screen. "Get out while you still can," it read. "They're watching." Sara froze, her blood turning to ice. Who sent that message? Was it connected to the message on the wall? And who were they? Panic surged through her. She had to get out of this apartment, this building, this city, now. Sara practically ran out of the apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were watching her, following her every move. She spent the day at a park, trying to calm her nerves, trying to rationalize the terrifying events of the past few days. Maybe it was all in her head. Maybe the stress of moving, of being alone in a new city, had finally gotten to her. She needed to get a grip. There had to be a logical explanation for everything. She decided to go back to the apartment, but this time, she wouldn't be alone. She called her friend Mark and begged him to come with her. When they arrived at the apartment, everything seemed normal. The air was no longer heavy with dread. The unsettling whispers were gone. Mark looked around the apartment, his brow furrowed. "Are you sure this is the place?" he asked, his voice skeptical. "It seems perfectly normal to me." Sara felt a surge of relief. Maybe it had all been in her head. Maybe she was just letting her imagination run wild. She showed Mark where she'd seen the message on the wall, but there was nothing there. "See?" she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. It was probably nothing, just a bad dream. Despite her attempts to rationalize the strange occurrences, Sara couldn't shake the feeling that something was still not right. The apartment was quiet, deceptively so. The whispers may have been gone, but the feeling of being watched lingered. Sleep became a distant memory, haunted by nightmares and the chilling feeling of unseen eyes boring into her. Every creak of the floorboard, every rustle of curtains in the breeze, sent her heart racing. Was it just the wind, or was something else moving in the shadows? The text message haunted her, the sender unknown, the warning echoing in her mind. "Get out while you still can. They're watching." She had tried to convince herself it was all in her head, but deep down, a seed of doubt remained. Was the apartment truly haunted, or was it her own fear feeding the darkness? As the days turned into weeks, and the sleepless nights stretched on, Sara was left with a chilling question. Would she ever truly escape the haunting on the 13th floor?